Okay, this is the only time we're ever going to talk politics on this channel. Ready, go.
You're fired. You're fired. You're all fired.
Okay, glad that's over. 3 coaches have already been trumped, and there could be as many as 11 fired by the end of the season. 11! That is just life in the association, actually. The NBA has the least coach job security of any major American sports league. Here's the numbers going back 5 years. 6 new head coaches to start this season. Before that, 9 new head coaches, then 0, 10 in 2016-17, 8 in 15-16. So actually 11 is a lot, but not out of the question. This video is Coach Hot Seat Rankings. The categories are, oh, it's happening, I expected that, I could see that, I would be mildly surprised, I'd be genuinely surprised, I'd be shocked, and Gregg Popovich. Hey guys, Casey Kiernan here, host of the AM Hoops YouTube channel. Hit subscribe. Here's the schedule. 5 videos, Monday through Friday, dropping at 6 Eastern. But you've got a lot going on in your life. You don't even have to remember all that. Just hit notifications and it'll pop right up there on your phone every single day at 6 when you get off work or school, whatever. Watch the video. Say what's up on Twitter at Casey Kiernan or over on IG at AM Hoops. Gregg Popovich is in his own category. The safest coach in all of American sports. I mean, even more than Bill Belichick. Like, the Pats took Tom Brady's side, and that whole Jimmy Garoppolo thing, that pissed Belichick off. Popovich calls all the shots in San Antonio. He's the highest paid in the NBA and the longest serving coach in all major American sports. Pop is safe, duh. Next up, the I'd be shocked if they were fired category, led by Erik Spoelstra. Look, the Heat have been better than expected, and he's Pat Riley's guy. Even when LeBron, D-Wade, and Chris Bosh wanted to move on, Pat Riley said, no way, he's our coach, and that was 2 championships ago. Steve Kerr. No one is loved more than Steve Kerr. The players love him, assistants, ownership, front office, the media. Obviously, the Warriors championship coach is safe no matter what. Rick Carlisle of the Dallas Mavericks. I put him below Spo and Kerr because 1, he's had bad relationships with players in the past, and this is a players' league. And 2, there were questions about how he was using Kristaps Porzingis, who I don't look like. But KP has played like a borderline all-star since the all-star break. Really, I'm nitpicking here. Carlisle, totally safe. Nick Nurse. For a second-year coach to be this high is ridiculous. Props to Nick Nurse. You give him an A+. Year 1, wins a title. Year 2, blows everyone's expectations out of the water. The Raptors are going to be a 2 seed with a ton of injuries, and he might be the most creative defensive mind in the league. Next up is Brad Stevens, the Celtics boy genius. Impressive how he easily made the jump from college to the pros, which we've seen that could be difficult. But there could be questions if they underperform in the playoffs this year. A conference finals is the expectation, but still his seat is ice cold. Next up, Taylor Jenkins of the Memphis Grizzlies. Even more impressive than Nick Nurse. No one knew who Jenkins was before the season. He's a 35-year-old dude who looks more like a cop. Now, everyone knows him as the coach of the most exciting young team in the NBA. JB Bickerstaff. He goes from, I could see it, all the way up to I'd be shocked with a 4-year contract extension. Before that, for some reason, people just don't want to give JB a long-term look at head coach. He's been an assistant since 2004. He was a head coach 1 time, and he was done after 1 year. Now he's got Cleveland playing better ball down the stretch, and they're rolling with him for 4 more seasons. And the final guy in the shock category is Billy Donovan. He has done great in his first year coaching in the NBA. I'm just kidding, Russell Westbrook fanboys, although it must be a relief not to have Russ literally just do whatever he wants up and down the court all game long. You'd have to be shocked if Billy Donovan was somehow let go. The 2020 Thunder could be a top 4 seed. That is ridiculous. Next category, I would be genuinely surprised. Leading the list is Doc Rivers. Doc and Gregg Popovich, the only star coaches in the NBA. Players love him, fans love him. Doc might win the title. However, the Clippers are on a really short timeline with Kawhi and PG, and if somehow they lost in like the first round to Luka and the Mavericks, which could happen, I wouldn't be shocked if he was fired, just genuinely surprised. Mike Malone, he signed an extension before the season. Not that the Cronkies don't have more money than God, but similar to the Clippers, if the Nuggets crash and burn in the playoffs, there is a world where he could be let go. Mike Budenholzer. I mean, why would he be in danger, right? I mean, the Bucks came close to 70 wins. Well, the reason is because the only real knocks on the Milwaukee Bucks are, number one, they don't have a really good number 2 option behind Giannis. And number 2, Mike Budenholzer in the playoffs, for some reason, just can't go all the way. This will have been his 3rd time being the number 1 seed, and if he doesn't make the finals, maybe they think it's time for a change, especially if Giannis doesn't endorse him. Frank Vogel. There's some talk about Vogel being coach of the year. The Lakers have been so good when we didn't really totally know what to expect, but can the coach of LeBron James really be totally safe? No. Terry Stotts, one of the most respected coaches in the NBA, a recent report said he is safe even if they don't make the playoffs, but that doesn't mean it couldn't happen. Everyone loves him, but there's a chance somebody takes a hit for this awful season. They may think it's time for a change, but I'd be surprised. Monty Williams, this is a guy everyone roots for. He is smart, he commands a locker room. His family suffered an awful tragedy a few years back when his wife was killed in a car crash. It was clear how loved and accepted he is around the NBA. He literally could have taken one of a handful of jobs, but he chose the Phoenix Suns. The Suns are lucky to have him, and although it's been a disappointing season, I would be genuinely surprised if he was let go. James Borrego. You might be surprised I've got him this high, but Vegas had the Hornets as the worst team in the NBA before the season. Their over-under win total was 23.5. They're at 22 right now with 18 games to go. The Hornets may suck, but it ain't Borrego's fault. Next category, I'd be mildly surprised if he was fired. Steve Clifford. Clifford's a good coach. He's well liked. The Magic about to make the playoffs in back-to-back years for the first time in 8 seasons. But they're just kind of blah, right? Orlando locked in most of their players before the season, so the only thing to shake up is the coaching staff. Quin Snyder, another good coach, well-liked, on the way to a 4th straight playoff berth. But the issue here for Quin Snyder and the Jazz are expectations. Kind of a curse that before the season, the Jazz were like everyone's dark horse pick to maybe win the title. Very little has gone right for long stretches this year. Mike Conley still is a mess. And again, you don't fire players, you fire coaches. Alvin Gentry, one of my top 5 favorite coaches in the league, but for some reason, Gail Benson doesn't call me for advice. Gentry's got like a double whammy going here. Number 1, the expectation thing. Maybe not before the season, but it looked like they were gonna overtake Memphis for a playoff spot. They could stumble down the stretch instead. And number 2, he's been there for 5 seasons. The new front office may think it's time for a change. Nate McMillan. Now, he's gotten an incomplete this season. They've played well without a star. They will make the playoffs, but they've been really injured. They're even considering air guitar playing, ear blowing Lance Stevenson. Luke Walton. The Kings thought they could make the playoffs, even though that was stupid. It looks like they're gonna miss it. Surprise, surprise. Luke Walton has had stretches of really good play this year. I mean, right now they're 7-3 in the last 10, but there have been issues in the locker room. Dwayne Dedmon demanded a trade. He's beefed with Buddy Hield. Then there was the decision not to play Hield late in a 3-point game. At least that led to my favorite fan heckling moment this season.
Points, and if he makes one, the game's over. It's been a heck of a game. We can make those shots. He has.
Okay, now we are at the line of fire. The first category is, I can see that. I can see Dwayne Casey being fired from the Pistons. He's only been there 2 years, and the Pistons made the playoffs both seasons, but the season has crashed and burned. When the season started, it was like, well, maybe they'll build around Blake and Andre Drummond, right? Now it's like, no, you're completely in a rebuild. You have no choice. Lloyd Pierce. I could totally see Lloyd Pierce being let go after this Hawks season. They were expected to be the Memphis Grizzlies this year. An exciting young team that you watched on League Pass along with your favorite team. Instead, they've been literally the worst or second worst team in the East. Scott Brooks, 4 years and the Wizards have gone from second round of the playoffs to first round of the playoffs to out of the playoffs, and unless they make some miracle run, they're gonna miss it again. Brooks just said he thinks John Wall will be an elite point guard next year, but that elite point guard might have a new coach. Next category, I expected that. Brett Brown. Look, the only way Brett Brown is going to keep his job at this point is if they make the Eastern Conference Finals and are competitive. I do not see that happening. He survived the process, and now 3 years of Simmons and Embiid. Fans and ownership in Philly are going to want to see if somebody can make those two fit on the court. Mike D'Antoni. Before the season, the Rockets offered D'Antoni a 1-year extension. He said, I want more years. So this was always going to be sort of a prove-it season. So D'Antoni would need to coach the mini Rockets to a long playoff run. And that would mean a Western Conference Finals where he either knocked off the Clippers or the Lakers to get there. I do not see it. Ryan Saunders. For some reason, I don't know why, but I feel bad for Saunders. He's the son of Minnesota's greatest coach ever. He's got loads of enthusiasm. The players like him. He's a likable guy. But there's the whole the team sucks thing. It's not his fault Karl Anthony Towns has been injured so much, but when a team goes on multiple double-digit losing streaks, something's got to change. Jim Boylen. The media has expected Jim Boylen to get fired from day one when he replaced Fred Hoiberg, but he keeps hanging on. When he pushed the players too hard and they revolted, he kept hanging on. Now it looks like the guy who loves him in the front office, John Paxson, may get demoted, so I think it will finally be the end for Jim Boylen. And our final category, it's happening. Mike Miller. No matter how much better he is for this team than David Fizdale was, this is the insecure, glamour-obsessed Knicks. They're not going with a G League coach. Mike Miller will definitely be fired, but I'd love to see him hang on to that staff at MSG. And finally, Jacque Vaughn of the Nets. Players like him a lot better than Kenny Atkinson, but there will be a list of more qualified guys to coach Kyrie and KD. If Ty Lue wants this job, it is a wrap. Kyrie reportedly wants him, and of course he coached the Cavs to 3 straight finals. Those are my NBA head coaching hot seat rankings. I know it's awful to say, but I do expect a ton of guys to be fired this offseason. What's even worse is that for most of those teams, firing the head coach won't matter one bit. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.